Okay, yeah, so the situation is it's a year later. The reconstruction is more or less kind of like at least stabilized. Sergio is doing well so far as the dictator pope. People are just generally afraid of, like, the bishops are just generally afraid of him, so they haven't tried to do anything yet. The thing is, though, your father's still around because Sergio did not kill him. So your father has been bitter. You know, he's technically kind of under house arrest. Always.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so, yeah, he's basically just kind of cut off all contact with everybody and just, like, sat in his study every day, just, like, stewing and brooding and reading. So you haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know, would you even have tried to contact him or have a conversation with him at all?
Probably not. What did our sister do? I don't even remember. Is she still there?
Yeah, and she's pregnant.
Oh, that's right.
With Alphonse's child. And it's been born by now.
Oh my gosh.
So...
do I know that it's his child?
Yeah, so that's actually an interesting question because, like, it's entirely possible because it's, you know, an incestuous union or whatever that there's something wrong with the child.
Yeah.
How have you, like, been in contact with your sister at all?
Probably not, based on the last conversation. I don't think it went well. So yeah, I mean, he probably has people sent to go speak to her to check up on her, but he probably isn't directly speaking to her.
Mm-hmm. Who would be your best man?
Oh, geez. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't know. And the ones that I do have are all, you know.
Would your old mentor be your best man? Roriano?
I don't know if he might be a little bit too nuts to be a best man. He's definitely invited, of course.
Right. I'm trying to think of anyone else that you would really know in the city.
I suppose Sergio could be there in one way or another because I probably have him there.
I mean, Sergio's probably officiating, right? Like,
yeah,
he's the Pope.
Yeah,
of course he's officiating this wedding. What are the marriage customs in Ceran actually like?
Oh,
do we want to just say they were like ours for the sake of
time? Yeah, we'll keep it pretty similar, probably.
So this is the thing. Also, your wife is a different culture than you. So I think in Serrano culture, you would have to give a dowry to the father of the wife.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. I don't think her father's probably dead.
Yeah.
So that's not a thing. How big is it? How big is this wedding? Like, are you actually going to have like an official Serrano, like, large state wedding, or is it just going to be like a small ceremony?
I don't really feel like that's Dellon. Plus, might not be the super safest thing ever. Plus, it would probably also depend on what Mario's hoping for.
I don't feel like Mario wants that.
Yeah, so it's probably not that.
Okay, so it's like a small ceremony in like a side chapel of the palace. Sergio's officiating, of course, but not in like an official state capacity. Mm-hmm. Rather small ceremony. And so we open up on you and Roriano in like a side room, you know, next to the chapel or whatever, like getting your ceremonial dress, you know, whatever it is, whatever they wear for
armor, right?
This. I mean, I guess. Yeah, sure.
I probably would, because honestly, I also know that I'm going to get killed. So
yeah, you probably would. So I guess the question would be, do you know of anyone that would interrupt this wedding?
Specifically?
Whether or not it's a person already on the list, or we say, you know, there's been a person giving you trouble, you know, at in the council or whatever, you know?
Yeah, well, I would probably make sure that my family doesn't show up. I'd probably have somebody keep an eye on them.
Is your sister invited, though?
Maybe. It depends on whether or not she's been causing issues recently. If she's been like just kind of keeping to herself and not a problem, then I'll probably invite her. But I don't.
Yeah, she hasn't been causing any problems. She's just been raising her kid.
Okay, then yeah, I'll invite her, but I probably wouldn't expect her to actually come. And then there's probably people on the council who don't like me because I'm not a diplomatic character, which means if I don't agree with them, it's probably just me killing them that's keeping them from, voicing their concerns. So
right, but I mean, you're a councilman now. Like, you can't just
but I mean,
can't just stab people.
Yeah, well, I'm not supposed to. The council in general, the ones that aren't Holy Knights, probably aren't fans of me. Mm-hmm. What happened to that bishop?
Armando Cole?
Yeah. I assume I had him killed, because that's what I would have done. But, or at least in prison or something.
I don't think you really have maybe you could have framed him for something, but like he didn't really do.
Well, I did report the attack. I don't think anything ever came of it, but I was attacked and I said it was him. And I said that I was
Right,
attacked.
but I mean, you don't necessarily have proof of that, so law is really, really important in this culture, and like it's based on ancient Israelites law, so you need to have at least 2 lines of independent witness for you to even bring a charge against someone, or else you can't do it. That gave you the right to kill them, like because they attacked you or whatever, and like everyone can vouch, Maria can vouch, like, yeah, we were defending ourselves, whatever. So you didn't get in trouble for that or whatever. But like you didn't, I don't think you had enough, because you're not the biggest on investigation anyway. I don't think you could have gotten enough information on that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there obviously would have been an issue if his men came up to attack me, like whether regardless of whether that he was convicted of anything, like obviously that's well, yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm saying you haven't been able to get him on anything yet. Okay,
he's still around, he's still a bishop. He's just, because he's the kind of guy who just kind of, he's ambitious but not ambitious enough to ever rise above the person who's paying him. You know what I mean?
Okay,
so like right now he's just like content under the current administration. He's just like fawning over Sergio, and he's allowed to keep his position because of it, and so he's content with that for now. But yeah, I mean, he might cause some trouble. Yeah, I feel like that might be the most obvious person to do so. So yeah. So yeah, you're in that room with Roriano, and he is like polishing your armor. Basically, he has this like little rag, and he's like making sure it's all nice and neat. Yeah, he kind of looks at you and he says, "You are the shining example of everything a knight should be. So very proud."
Yeah, I think he chuckles. He's like, not used to flattery from you.
Well, I'm not used to flattery from me either. But, every once in a while, a catfish can do something amazing. Something that maybe only a koi could do. But, koi like myself, which is always amazing. So it's not even surprising when I do something amazing. But when you do something amazing, it is a sight worth seeing. And snagging that beautiful rose of the desert, that's something amazing, my friend. And I wish you all the happiness that you have ever deserved.
Well, thank you. And just I think. It's like, we have servants for the armor. You don't need to shine it.
No. I would not trust anyone else with this important task. You do know that about 300 years ago, there's a man who was killed for not having his armor properly polished for the marriage ceremony. And I cannot have you being killed on your wedding day.
I did not know that, but I am not surprised that you know that.
Well, yes, I keep up on all the marriage rituals, for the day when I find myself a rose of the desert.
Of course. He'll probably just let him finish.
He's polishing the armor, yeah. And one of the rituals that they have is that you're obviously not supposed to see your bride before, she walks down the aisle or whatever. But there's like a thing that happens in her culture where the groom is supposed to give the bride a flower like an hour before the ceremony commences. It's not necessarily like you have to do per se, but it gives good luck to the ceremony to do that.
Okay, yeah.
And so you guys have maybe argued about this a bit in jest or whatever, because you're like, no, but the tradition says that I can't see you. And so she's like, all right, fine, we'll meet in the hallway, and you just turn your back and then hand me the flower, kind of a thing.
So is it our tradition that we can't see each other, and their tradition that you're give flowers? At the idea?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. I like it. Whoever my right hand man is, he's probably also like the only other groomsman, and I probably have him with her because Dell's super paranoid all the time. So he'll probably be there too. But other than that, it's probably the only people he has there. I think as soon as he finished shining the armor, he's like, well, I have to go give my bride a rose without looking at her somehow. So wish me luck.
I think he pulls out the rings or whatever, from this little box that he has, and kind of shows them to you and winks, and then puts them back and kind of goes off to the chapel to be there, whenever you're getting back there. The person that you kept with Maria is his name is Averio. He used to be a holy knight. And I don't know necessarily that you ever met him or trained with him as a child or whatever, or as a young man. He's a little bit older than you. He's 10 years older than you, but he's one of the people that is on the council. He was given a place. He retired as a as a holy knight and was a man at arms at the palace for a while. And so he was actually given. He's one of Sergio's old friends, and so he was actually given a place on the Inquisition Council to kind of keep it in check.
Oh, nice.
He's the guy who's making sure the Inquisition is about good things and not underhanded things.
Yeah.
And so you guys have gotten to know each other pretty well over the last year because you see each other a lot. And you really like him. He's very similar to you in a lot of ways. He's a good guy. And so, yeah, I think he'd probably be the one you'd ask.
Well, then he's not like me. I'm just kidding.
As in, like, he actually might be like one of those people that you're like, oh, I kind of wish I was more like that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's with Maria as you. So you're supposed to like meet in this hallway. So you get there first, and then you hear or you see Averio like turn a corner, and he's like, "Turn around, Dellon."
Okay. So yeah, he sighs and pulls out the flower from wherever he was stashing it, and turns around.
You hear like the drag of the like silk of her dress like on the stone floor. Then you kind of like feel her presence behind you, and then you're supposed to like kind of like hand it back to her.
He takes a little whiff of it and then hands it back, and then awkwardly, backwards so you can't see her.
Yeah, she takes it from your hand and then like kind of clasps her hand in yours, and like you kind of tell that she like sniffs it, and then she says, "It's beautiful. Thank you, Dellon."
Yeah, so he's like, man, the cheese is going to be real. But yeah, he says, it's like it pales in comparison to you. And then I think so she's holding my hand in front of her, right? So
yes,
he kind of gently moves his hand up, so she'll let go, and then like up to her chin, and then like closes his eyes and turns around to kiss her.
Right, yeah. I think you can feel the smirk on her face as you kiss her, and then you pull away, and she says, "You're skirting the line very closely here, Dellon."
He says, "Oh, you know me. I don't follow tradition."
Yeah, and she kind of like turns you around, and then she says, "Well, I will see you soon." And then she kind of like just walks away, and Averio like he comes up to you and kind of like puts a hand on your shoulder, and like comes up so you can like look at him, with a sideways glance towards him, and he's like, "It's been a great year, Dellon. A good year getting to know you and working beside you. Here's to another great year."
I appreciate it. It's been much better than the year before that, to be sure, and I'm hoping that the next year's even better. Things seem
we can only hope.
Yeah.
And then he goes as if he's about to like turn away, but then he stops, and then he kind of like frowns a little bit, and he kind of like leans in, and he's like, "I'm worried about Sergio."
Why would you say that?
You haven't seen it?
Apparently not. I mean, certainly he's different. I wouldn't have known him to do many of the things he's done a couple years ago, but certainly that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I suppose. It's just different to see a man you once knew do things that you couldn't possibly imagine he would have. And it's not necessarily that I disagree with some of the things that he's done. He's been very hard on the bishops. He's been very hard on the church and its corruption. And I agree with his reformation of the church. But the methods don't seem like Sergio's. They seem like the methods of a man struggling for survival.
Well, I mean, given what led him here, I can't say that's too surprising. My uncle's was always naive. He was gentle and kind in a world that does not exactly condone such views, and he learned that the hard way, I fear. And I mean, it's possible that it may have darkened his personality, but I think it's also matured him, apparently. Certainly he's more heavy-handed than he would have ever been before, but I mean, given his responsibilities and what he's seen, I can't say I'm surprised or even that it's for the worst. I think it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, and he just kind of like nods, and he's like, he's a man treading for water right now, struggling to take a breath. I feel that he thinks he's drowning, but I fear he may already be on the bottom of the ocean. And he feels that the only way out is to become a predator of those deep waters, is to become something that men only become when they feel like they must. I don't want to sound ungrateful for what Sergio has done for this country, for this beautiful city, but I was there, Dellon. I was there when he killed the head of the Inquisition, Vada. I saw the look on his face when he turned, blood in his hands, a knife gripped so tightly. He looked like he would never let it go again. That image haunts me, and I worry that the man that I once knew was forever lost in that moment.
He just nods and he's like, well, for a man like Sergio doing something like that, I'm sure it was a very jarring experience, and I don't know how he got to that point, honestly. So it was hard enough to convince him to let me do my job, much less for him to take a life in cold blood. But honestly, I don't know how he arrived there, but I mean, the most we can do for him is help him to shoulder the burden he has. If you think he's drowning, then we have to carry him. And honestly, with a burden like that on his shoulders, I wouldn't be surprised. But today's not a day for such heavy thoughts.
Right, of course. And he kind of like smiles. But you can kind of tell, even Dellon can kind of tell that it's a forced smile.
Right. Yeah.
And he says, like, I apologize. Yes, we can speak of these matters later. For now, let's celebrate your marriage, the lifetime of happiness that is ahead of you.
So he nods and he goes to walk away, and he before he does, he turns around and grabs Averia's shoulder. He says, and Averio, we can speak of this again later. I mean, we're the ones who can help Sergio if he is really struggling, as you say. And honestly, I haven't had the time to speak to him to see it for myself. But if anyone can help him from where he's at, it's us. Now, go enjoy yourself. Try not to think of it.
Of course. And then walks around the corner. Yeah, so you kind of just head to the chapel then?
Yeah.
And you go to the chapel, and Sergio isn't there yet.
Okay.
He was supposed to be. He is not there yet.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, so you see a few of your fellow holy knights that you may have invited to the wedding because you kind of liked them, Roriano's, up towards the front, and actually you do see your sister in one of the middle pews of this little chapel, and she has her child in her lap.
I think as he's walking up to go to the front to inquire about where Sergio is, I think he passes his sister and just says, I'm glad you could make it. Gives her a nod.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if she says anything, he'll stop, but if not, he just keeps walking.
Yeah, she looks really awkward about everything. She looks like she wants to say something, but I think her child starts like crying a little bit.
Okay.
And so she just kind of like nods and smiles at you and then just pats her child's, back.
Yeah, I think he just nods to her and walks away.
She seems kind of relieved that happened, so they can have a conversation.
Yeah. I'll go head up and ask.
Roriano?
Yeah. I'll ask him, where's Sergio?
I don't know. Yes, I suppose he was supposed to be here.
Yes, he was.
This is unfortunate. Well, I guess you can get married.
Says, well, if it comes down to it, I'm sure you can do it. But for now, I think I should see if I can find him. Did you see him at all? Do you know where he might be?
No, I don't just go talk to the Pope.
Well, no, but he's supposed to be here.
He is supposed to be here. That is unfortunate. I'm not really sure what to say at this point, though. Either he's here or he's not. I don't think we can decide the High Priest Ceran's schedule.
Well, how much time do we have?
He kind of like looks out the stained glass window. Well, if there wasn't such a beautiful fresco on that pane of glass, I might be able to tell. I think we still have about half an hour.
Well, hopefully that's enough time to find him.
Hopefully. Are you going to go look?
Yeah, I'll probably find someone else to help me look as well. But we don't have a lot of time to be messing about, so
I'll stay here and hold the fort. If he comes back, I will send someone to find you, I guess.
Thank you. I mean, I'll stay on the grounds. If he's not even on the grounds, then it's a little bit.
Right. I mean, assuming he's around here somewhere, but the palace is very large.
Yeah, I was picturing just like a church chapel, like sure.
So this is like a little chapel that's like on the grounds of the palace. Yeah. So
well, great. Well, somebody has to know where he is. So he's the Pope. We can't just lose the Pope. So I'll go. I'll go inquire.
The Pope. Yeah. I mean, make a circle roll.
Okay.
That's what that's for.
I don't have very good circles. Well, it's 2. Could be worse. I mean, I'm just going to try and find anybody who might know where he is. So
trying to find anyone who knows where he is. That would be.
I mean, I imagine people similar to my station would know, and I think that makes it an easier roll, right? If they're the same.
Yeah, okay. Let's just say up to, probably.
Alrighty. Well, it's not likely to go well, but try.
Yeah, the problem is I don't think you have the best circles in the world.
No. Oh, my circles is 3. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, there we
go. You find an Inquisitor, actually, who's he seems to be in a hurry. And so you kind of like run into him as you like turn a corner.
Okay.
Kind of like runs into you. Do you just ask him, have you seen...
Yeah, so I think I like bump into him and I like put my hand on his shoulder. I'm like, Sergio, have you seen him? I call him Sergio.
Right, yeah. The High Priest? Yes, I just did. He's... And like he looks behind him and then he looks back at you and he says, he is over there in one of the side rooms of this hallway. I wouldn't go there right now, but
why do you say that?
He's busy with something. I'm sure that he'll be there helping you with whatever you're.
Well, he's supposed to be busy with something else. Thank you for your help. Are you okay? You look a little flustered.
I'm fine. May I leave?
Yeah. Thank you.
he just like almost like runs away.
Okay. So yeah, he's like, well, that was weird, and then he and goes and raps on the door that the Inquisitor indicated.
Yeah. Make a perception test.
Oh, because we know I'm so good at these. Difficulty
2.
Hey.
There you go. Yeah. So you hear some like muffled words. You can't really pick them out, but like it sounds like someone's struggling or is gagged or something.
Oh, good. I kicked the door, I guess.
You kicked the door in?
Yeah. Well, and I hit it with my sword. I feel like I get a lot more dice.
I mean, I don't think that really makes sense.
I can pry it open, right? I don't know.
I mean, if you gotta damage your sword.
I mean, it's just a normal sword, right? Yeah. I don't know. Oh, that's why I couldn't find the plate mail, because it wasn't on my character sheet. Alright, so should I just make a power test, I guess?
Yep.
Alright.
Odd one. You watch, you're still gonna fail it. That'd be great.
Oh, yeah. Do I get a bonus for being clad in metal armor?
If you're like throwing yourself against the door.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna try and kick it first.
You can try to kick it first, so then don't add it. Yeah.
Okay, because I don't want to mess up my armor. What?
Nice. I knew that was going to happen.
Very cool.
And no dice. So yeah, you kick it and nothing happens. I think you actually hear, who is it? And it's a voice you don't recognize.
A janitor, open the door.
And then someone walks
janitor,
over.
I don't know, whatever they call it.
Right. I'm a custodian. You hear someone walk over and then like fiddle with the lock and then open the door. And it's Sergio. And he says, Dellon, grim face.
Do you know what time it is?
What do you mean what time it is?
I mean, for the wedding. Also, I thought you were, like, in trouble. Are you okay? Sounds like someone's freaking out. I don't know why he talks like this, but...
Turns out Dellon has, over the past year, picked up American slang.
Yeah. Thanks, Maria.
Yeah, he says, I will be there in just a moment. No need to trouble yourself.
Okay. So I can't see into the room, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
He's barely opening the door.
So yeah, I think he pauses, like, What are you doing in there?
Torturing someone. And then he like smirks as if it's a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dellon frowns a little bit like, okay. I think he just like shakes his head. He's like, well, make sure you're there on time. I don't want to have to make my old mentor do the speech. I'm not sure exactly how well that will go. And then
I'll be there in 10 minutes, Dellon.
Okay. Well, have fun with your torturing, I guess. He just kind of like shakes his head and turns around. Like, maybe what's his face? Maybe Vario was right. It's a little weird. Not his sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. And Sergio says, like, as you turn away, he says, if you must know, Dellon, I'm performing an exorcism.
I'm sorry, what?
There's an evil spirit in this man. One of the Inquisitors brought them to me, and I am attempting to excise it.
I see. I'm not aware that he can do that, am I?
No. It's kind of talked about in church history and stuff, but it's not, you've never seen him do it. You've never seen anyone do that.
Yeah, like I wasn't aware you could do that. Well, is it dangerous? The exorcism.
What do you think, Dellon?
Well, I'm wondering if you would like me to help.
I'll be there in a moment.
All right.
We have everything under control here.
Just don't get hurt.
And then he just closes the door, yeah.
Okay.
And then the camera actually follows him instead.
Okay.
And he walks over and there is a man tied to a chair, and Sergio grabs out a knife and then just like stabs it into his arm, and then we cut on the muffled scream.
I was going to say, try not to hear that.
Yeah, no. You maybe hear something, but...
Well, I suppose I would expect probably some.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And actually the person who is tied to the chair is the Bishop Armando Cole.
Is that the one? I'm really bad with names.
Yeah, that's the one that tried to do stuff with Marnia.
Cool. Okay with that.
Yeah, so you go back to the chapel then?
Yeah.
You wait there for a little while, and it's getting to the point where, like, a couple minutes pass, couple more minutes pass, couple more minutes pass, and it's like getting to the point where the ceremony is basically about to start, and Rodiano is like looking really anxious because I'm assuming you just told him like, yeah, he's over there, he'll be back, he'll be here soon, but he's just very like, like this is, and he doesn't, he's usually a pretty happy-go-lucky sort of person,
right, yeah.
But you see that he just seems like out of sorts.
Right. I'm going to try and clean up Dellon's dialogue a little bit and sound a little bit more appropriate. So, yeah, I think he sighs and he's just, Oriana, could you fetch a chaplain? I have a feeling that my uncle's not going to be present.
And basically, right as you say that, Sergio walks in.
Is he covered in blood?
No. Sergio looks a little frazzled, his hair is a little unkempt, but he's in his papal outfit, and he looks a little grim, but you basically you haven't seen Sergio smile in a while, so it's he seems to have a bit more gray hair, and then he just walks over, and is at the pulpit basically, and he doesn't look at you. And he just stands up there.
Right.
The ceremony kind of like begins. Do you have any sort of like music or anything?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's something.
Okay, so yeah, you have.
There's probably some kind of. They're Eastern, right? Mario's nationality, or to the east.
Yeah, like Middle Eastern. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, there's probably some of that going on too. If. Mm-hmm. As a possibility. I don't know if we have those.
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of her ethnicity in the city. Okay. So yeah, so you get one of the ladies who's playing like an oud. Yeah, like a pear-shaped lute. It usually has 4 strings. So she's playing one of those. And there's like a one or two other Serrano people who look a little uncomfortable. But they're like one of them has like a violin and the other has like a more like a lute, like an actual more European lute.
Mhm.
And it's very obvious that the girl's taking over the show. And they look a little put out for having been relegated to accompanists. So
Yeah, it happens.
Yep. But yeah, so they start playing. It's this beautiful, like, Middle Eastern music, and then Maria enters. Averio. Averio's basically gonna kind of like give her away.
Mm-hmm. I think he just smiles, like,
Yeah. She looks gorgeous. She's wearing like, I don't think her tradition necessarily has like white dresses are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's wearing like a red dress. It's not like a flamboyant red, really. It's like a dark, like deep red.
Sweet.
She walks out. Averio is in his armor. He's looking great. He gives her, he stands there and does like a similar sort of thing to what we would do in our culture. Like Sergio asks, who gives this woman away?
Right.
And, Averio says, I do. And I think the reason that he's doing this is, partly because he's your friend, but I think he's become a little bit of a father figure to her over the last year. Like they've been pretty close too. And so, like he's kind of like filled that space where she doesn't have a father really. And it's not necessarily like a father, I guess, but like more like an older brother or like an uncle kind of thing. Cause they're pretty close in age relatively, but yeah.
Well, he's 40 and she's 23. So.
Right, but like in a sense,
now,
I guess technically he could be her father, but like...
Yeah, well, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, okay.
Yeah, so, they do that whole thing, and then she goes up, and you both kind of like stand in front of... The proper thing is to kneel in front of Sergio, because, he's the Pope.
Right.
Are you both okay with that?
I mean, I am, yeah. I would hope she was.
Yeah, and I think she is, not necessarily because, he's the head of the religion, but more like he's Sergio, and...
Yeah.
She respects him because he's Sergio, and she knows Sergio. She's met Sergio before, and I think she's appreciated a lot of the reforms that he's made in terms of like a religious discussion that you guys have been having. Yeah, she's been like, yeah, this is a lot better than your religion was before.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So yeah, and so Sergio does. You start going through the ceremony like it would normally be done, rather routine, but. Basically, I think what happens is, I think about halfway through, your sister's child starts crying. And so that's a little distracting, but you guys just kind of keep pushing through. But yeah, I think what ends up happening is someone bursts through the door at the back of the chapel. And it's Min. It's the guy who worked for the Order, the Shoei swordsman.
I was supposed to kill that guy.
And he breaks in and he like collapses to his knees, like just through the force of like breaking through the door, and he's like exhausted. It looks like he has a wound in his side, and he has a sword in his hand, and it clatters to the floor as it like falls. And he like is like leaning on the ground or whatever, and he looks up and he's like, please help me. And then like you see like, because the doors are like swinging back and forth behind him, you see like 5 and I don't know if you really recognize where this armor is from. 5 guys in some weird looking armor that kind of like covers their faces and everything. So it's like, pretty full armor coming behind him, swords drawn.
Right. So yeah, I think Dellon just sighs and looks at Mario like, we already knew this was gonna happen, didn't we?
Yeah, she just nods.
Yeah, so then he draws his sword and he's like, to me or whatever, and then he just bull rushes them. Like, get this over with. I don't care who they are. I think he looks at Roriano when he does that, because I'm not sure if Roriano wants to fight, but he is in armor, so welcome to the show if you'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, Averio definitely draws his sword or whatever.
When like you said, it's pretty much Holy Knights and whoever Maria invited.
Right, and so. I think probably what happens is like everyone just kind of like universally like just draws their swords and turns around.
Like, yeah, that was not a good idea.
It's basically exactly what you would think from your wedding, from Dellon's wedding. Your sister just like kind of holds her child to herself, and I think maybe we get a shot of her like pretty, like the camera's pretty close to her, and she says, "I should have known this would happen," and like just kind of like like trying to protect. And of course, your bride, Maria, she just rips the dress, and she has her, and then has like kind of like a kukri like strapped to her leg.
Yeah, so I think he kind of winces a little bit when she tears the dress.
And yeah, you guys just kind of charge as one.
Yep. Yeah. Goodness. All right. Do you want me to make a roll?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Oh man.
I mean, I guess this is the bloody verses.
Yeah.
So do you like call people to arms, basically?
Yeah. So when he does starts like to me or whatever, and then
right. Okay, so. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you definitely have a reputation for this sort of.
Yeah.
Like, let's go, guys. Let's fight these people.
Full rush.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna have to remember how this system works and how many dice I get and all that stuff.
Yeah, so if you have a longer weapon, you get +1 dice. This is not applicable here.
Yeah, I assume we have the same length of weapon.
You basically have the same amount of armor, so don't bother with that.
They're wearing plate?
Yep.
Man.
And like I think to our culture, it would seem sort of like samurai armor, but not quite.
Okay.
And I don't think you've ever seen something exactly like this before. But yeah, it's pretty full plate. They don't have shields. I don't think you do, though.
I do not know.
Do you have higher reflexes than these people? What's your reflexes?
Probably not.
Oh yeah, you probably don't.
My reflexes is 3.
3. I think they have higher reflexes than you, so they're gonna get 1 dice.
Okay.
And then you can have any appropriate forks.
How many people are fighting with me that I get? Or are we not doing that?
Yeah, it would be, let's see, Averio, Maria. I think Sergio does too, probably. he grabs out like a big knife from underneath his...
I look at him like, are you serious?
Yeah, okay, so I think he does that instinctively, but then he kind of like, you maybe look at him and he just like thinks about it again and then just kind of like slides the knife back.
Yeah. Like, you're the Pope. 1, you can't murder people in front of people. And 2...
Yeah.
You can't die. You're the Pope.
But I think you and Averio definitely noticed that and maybe glance at each other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, and then I think about probably like 5 other Holy Knights. So you have 8 helping dice to work with.
Okay. Then I think that's it. Oh, they get a rather large pool as well.
Yeah, well, you don't be Master Samurai Assassins without getting a few bonuses here and there.
Apparently.
So for defense, they got 1, 2, 3, 4 successes, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
Okay, so this is defense, and then offense.
So the 9 was your defense?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can't.
So
can you spend fate and reroll 6s on? Oh, I didn't get any 6s on attack, anyways. Yeah.
Any 6 on attack. Yeah, you don't need any on the
defense. Yeah.
The other thing. I think they're gonna reroll that 6 on attack for them, though. Oh,
wow.
So that's 7.
There we go.
8. Okay.
Oh, they have gray?
Yeah, of course they have gray.
Of course they do.
Yeah, so yeah, basically it's a stalemate, right? Like you guys are all like, you're just literally fighting, and I don't think anyone dies. Like it's literally just like complete and utter excellence on each side fighting each other.
I think based on the rules, I don't even think anybody got hurt.
Yeah. Neither side hits. This titanic struggle leads to a deadlock. No wounds are suffered. The side with the most defense successes decide what happens next. I think you got the most. Yep, you got the most defense successes. So
what happens next include us killing them?
So you have these options: another round of fighting, preferably with a different skill; a fort versus test to outlast your opponent; a power versus test to subdue your opponent; or a speed versus test to escape. or both sides may agree to call it a draw. Just like, you know what? Let's just not fight each other and let's talk about this. I'm sure all Holy Knights and Master Samurai Assassins could learn some things from each other.
Yeah. Well, my plan to quickly murder them all and get on with this obviously isn't going to work. So
yeah, I think we definitely have like a Pirates of the Caribbean style scene where you guys are all like fighting each other and like talking, like, right, like having witty dialogue. So like you and Averio and your wife, you know, all that stuff. You're all just like
enjoying ourselves.
Is anyone getting a hit in here? You know, kind of a thing. Those sorts of things. And you guys are all getting battered, but you all have so much good armor that nothing's happening.
Jeez. Well, if there's a pause, I mean, we could talk and see what they want to say. Because clearly they weren't intending to have such an issue either, so.
Right, yeah. It's up to you.
Yeah. How many dice did they roll?
15? That's a good question.
And there's only 5 of them?
15.
So that guy has 10 dice?
Yep. What? It's also applicable forks. He started out with a 7 and 7 skill. So
I guess a lot of forks. Okay.
Oh yeah, and I think what probably ends up happening in this fight, right? Like this is the obvious, because this is the Tales of Bot Sing Se episode, right? Where y'all having different. This is your mini episode.
We like doing those.
Yes, they're fun. They're fun. Yeah. And so like there's obviously one of them that's obviously the leader. He has like red stripes on his helmet where none of the other people do. And you and him get into a fight, right? Like the end of this round or whatever. And you guys are like going back and forth and like getting so close to hurting each other. But then neither of you score any hits. So you're just locked in Mortal Kombat with this Samurai Assassin.
So is there a pause in the fighting then where we could be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think there's kind of a break and we pull back or whatever into a line again. And then I'm like,
yeah, I think maybe what happens is like one of the guys like grabs Min and like, or like tries to or whatever. And actually, because it's a stalemate. I think what probably ends up happening is like you and the guy, right, are the main guy are like right over Min and like have your swords crossed and it's like Mexican standoff sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
And Min is like passed out at this point. So,
all right.
But yeah, you have a moment to talk.
Okay. So yeah, that was like, I'd like to say I didn't expect this on my wedding day, but honestly, I kind of did. Who are you?
And he says in a very thick accent that you don't quite recognize, he says, I apologize for the intrusion on your wedding day. I didn't realize that we would be interrupting such a momentous occasion. All we were doing is following the traitor.
Min, you mean?
Yes, if you deem to give this man a name, I suppose Min would be the name that would be given.
So does that make you the Order?
If that is what you deem to call us. Of course, I would probably use a more esteemed title than that. Order suffices, though. Your language is so inelegant.
You're the ones who we sent for and agreed that they would send soldiers and that didn't, right? That's you?
No, that was Min pretending like he had the authority to do that when he was already disgraced from the Order in the first place.
I knew I didn't like him.
So you'll let me take him? No need for more bloodshed here. All we want is Min.
I'd like to say no, but I don't really like him, so...
Right. So yeah, you notice in Min's, like, Min has like a satchel, right? And you notice that something's peeking out from the satchel. And it's like a chalice, this fancy like engraved cup, and it just kind of catches your eye, kind of peeking out of the satchel. And I don't know, you feel something. You feel like a little slight like electricity in the air, almost like a tingling. And the only time you've ever felt this before is when you were in the presence of that orb that Alphonse found.
So I look at him and I say, "Just Min?" I'm okay with that. And then I reach down and grab the satchel. And then I want to grab the cup and see if I get magical powers.
Of course you do. Yeah, so he wants to stop you. He doesn't let you do that.
Well, okay, so can I reach down to be like, I'm going to pick Min up and give you to him, or him to you, and then, so that, like, it's not...
You can attempt to make a test to... to fool him.
Okay, I mean, why not?
I'm not sure exactly what skill that would be.
Sword, right?
Yeah, you reach down with your sword to pick Min up.
Yeah, no, I reach down. What I do is I just stick my sword into the satchel and lift it with the sword so that I can use my sword skill.
Perfect.
I don't know.
You can't solve all your problems with violence, David.
It's not violent. No one's gonna get hurt. Except the satchel, I guess.
What's the task exactly? You trying to distract him with your words or distract him with your like movement of your hands or whatever, you know, like are you going to try to take it out of the satchel without him noticing or convince him that you're going to like give him Min, you know, and make him wary or you know, make him hesitate for just a second so you can grab it without him like stabbing you.
I'm hoping to get magical powers from this, so I'm not really worried if grab it. I just don't want him at his probably insane speed to get in my way.
Yeah, so make a falsehood test.
Okay. What's that based on? Because I definitely don't have falsehood.
Will.
Oh, good. Yeah, I might actually be able to do this. I don't think I get any kind of forks.
Unfortunately, this is a being learned test, and he does have 5 will, so...
Okay. Falsehood. Well, this is basically impossible, but here we go. Yeah, I failed.
Awesome. By a lot. You want to roll fate on that?
I mean, no, he's not going to believe me.
I mean, it would go on your will if you ever want to gratiate that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that would take a lot of... I don't have anything on there right now, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so he just doesn't... So you try to go for it anyway?
I mean, yeah, so basically I'm like, oh, you just want him? And then I like, bend down and grab him, like, pick him up. I know he's unconscious, but, like, and I'm not very strong, so I just kind of, like, lift him up. And then, like, while I'm doing that, I go to grab this satchel. Like, this is a nice cup.
Sure. I mean, yeah, he tries to stab you.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to block it with my sword. Yeah.
So if you would have succeeded on the falsehood roll, you would have been able to take it without him. He would basically have hesitated, you know?
Okay.
But now he's going to try to... Yeah, he's just going to stab you. This is, like... And you see it, like, through the eye slits on his mask. Like, he does not want you to grab this.
Okay.
He's escalating very quickly.
Yeah. So I think what happens is I grab it, and then he goes to stab me, and so I drop him in because, I have a sword in my hand, so in that case I probably have to drop the satchel with him in order to actually use my hand. Yeah, alright, so that's what happens. So can I stab him back?
Sure, yeah. Do you want to kill him?
I don't think so. He seems fun.
Okay.
I'll just do whatever the wound would be. He has actually armor too, so...
Yeah, so it's actually a good question. I don't know what that wound would be. Yeah, so you get like a light wound on him or whatever. You know, you slice his arm a bit. You gets through the plate on one of his like arms,
okay.
arm plates, and he like kind of staggers back a bit. So you just grab the chalice.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was because in order for this to make sense, I still have a sword in my hand. I basically had to drop him in to block because I had. If I was going to grab the satchel, I was going to have to use my right hand.
So this whole thing is definitely, I think it's had a very farcical nature to it, and so like literally you just there's probably funny music, a quirky kind of string music playing in the background with like the little pizzicato like doom 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 doom, and so like
they start playing rock when we fight. I'm just kidding. Anyways,
no, yeah, it was actually we were probably you know what actually happened? It was Guardians of the Galaxy style, Volume 2. So when the guy burst in, okay, this is how the whole thing went. When the guy burst in, when Min burst in, like the whole Mr. Blue Sky started playing. And it was like dun 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 dun, and then it paused right as everybody drew their swords, and then it said the Crow Inquisitors, and then as the music is playing like dun 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 dun, and you guys were all like fighting.
It's just what's her face? I can't remember her name. I'm so bad with names. The sister.
Oh, Ipina.
Yeah, it's just her with her baby, and her baby's fussing, and in the background, blurred out, is us fighting.
Yep.
People getting thrown in the
That's so
bleachers and
good.
stuff. Yeah.
We're just beating each other up.
Sergio's just fighting the urge to pull out his knife.
Yep. So good. Well, yeah, so what ends up happening is like that's at the end of that whole thing, you guys facing off and this all happening. But yeah, you drop him in and he like hits his head hard on like the stone, but it's like a comedical thing, not a tragic thing. So
like
he's obviously undead or whatever, but like
Slump.
Yep.
So yeah, basically I poke him in the shoulder and then reach down and I'm like, you know, it's my wedding day. This is a rather nice goblet. And then I grab it and like look at it with my sword just like straight out, like still in the plates.
Yeah. I'm gonna roll on a table.
Can I have white sword, please? It's all I want. It's all I want for my wedding day. It's white sword. Also, it's my birthday on the 10th. Just kidding.
Wow, David. Wow, you're pulling that card.
It's a whole week away. It doesn't really count. But.
So I'm gonna go ahead and roll on this table. Yeah, you get the potential discipline.
Sweet magic. Which one is that?
You can control force.
I have the force?
Basically.
Yes.
You are now officially a Jedi.
I just need to get a light like a glowing sword.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Can I do that? Can I like make my sword have superpowers?
Not.
Can I like put energy into my sword and make it a lightsaber?
I don't think so.
Are you sure? It's force. I can basically. Well, okay. Sure. Could I make it have so much kinetic potential that when I hit something, it explodes?
Probably. You might be able to figure out how to do that with this discipline. 2b8.
That's amazing. I want to do that so badly. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, because literally it's one of those artifacts, and you totally get magic powers, and so the potential discipline is detailed description of it is manipulation of force. Right. But you definitely feel something, right? Like you feel like a piece of your soul has been unlocked. Like you've never been complete until this moment.
Awesome. All right, yeah. So I think like I grab it and then like I like suck in air like holy crap, things happen.
I mean maybe you accidentally do something, right? Like
oh, that'd be cool. Oh, so I said that my sword was still stuck in the plates. Can I he just like flies backwards? Like I shoot energy out of the point of my sword or something? Can I do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. I force push with the sword. That's my favorite.
So you go ahead and do a being learned.
All right.
The main thing you're doing with this discipline is affecting motion. So it's far easier to stop motion than to induce motion. The power required to move something is so great that it is almost never worth it, while stopping motion is relatively easy, at least comparing to inducing motion. As in, like, something that is completely still, it's almost impossible to get it to just move. Oh, okay. Unless, so if you pushed him with your sword and then did it, that would make a lot more sense. Okay. Like, that's how you work around that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like, you know, for example, making a breeze out of dead air is, like, really, really difficult.
Right. But making a tornado out of really, really fast wind would be really easy.
Yes, it'd be pretty easy. Yep.
Okay.
So you're pushing him away, you know, as you do this thing. So he comes at you again, and you like, did you just stab him or like kick him or what? Well,
so the way, and I mean, if you didn't want to go down, so that's fine. But the way I narrated it originally was that, so I dropped him in and like basically like parried his blade with his thrust, and then stuck it in his shoulder in between the plates, and then I and it pushed him back, obviously, out of range. Mm-hmm. And then I just knelt down and grabbed the cup and was like, oh, this is nice. But I had my sword still in his shoulder.
Right.
And then that happened, and he just, like, my sword still stuck in him, like, blows him back.
Right, so you, like, start to push... Yeah, you start to, like, push in with your sword and, like, push him back.
Yeah.
And then
I probably, like... Because, like I said, I like, kind of convulse a little bit. You're, like, you know...
Sure.
Deeply inhale from it, and I probably, like, push him out a little bit, and then, boom, it just explodes off.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, so let me roll first.
Well, yeah, I suppose. I mean, if I don't actually want to hurt him, can it just happen?
Nah.
Oh.
Because hurting someone isn't the role, you know, that's... If it's... Your intent would be whether or not, you know, you want to hurt him or whatever, but I mean, my intent is really just for it
to be cool. I don't really care if it hurts him.
Right, exactly. I'm saying the intent doesn't... Just because you have an intent that's different doesn't necessarily mean that the role shouldn't still happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess my point was that the intent isn't really, like, important. Like the outcome isn't really super.
Sure. Yeah.
But
I just want to see how well you do it instinctually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I can't fork in.
You can't fork on being learned. Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I guess that answers the question. I was wondering if I could fork in and learn things, but you can't do that at all. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What is the obstacle?
Yeah, the obstacle I think is going to be 3. Let's do 3.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to ace it then.
Yeah.
I didn't ace it. I didn't get close.
Didn't. Oh wow. Yeah. So I think what happens here is
knocks everybody over.
No. I think it reverses on accident, right? So you try to push him away, but you end up just like. I think he ends up like going forward and like falling on top of you, and it's very comedic.
Oh, so like I pull him instead of push him?
Yes, basically.
Okay.
And you both just crumple into a mess of armor on the stone floor. And neither of you are very like neither of you have an advantage in this situation. You're just kind of like wrestling on the ground at that point.
Yeah. Well, he's not gonna be like, wait, you just got magical powers.
No, and I think it's just kind of. I don't think anyone necessarily notices. It's subtle enough that like
it kind of probably looks like he jumped at me.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And maybe he's definitely like, well, that didn't have like I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But like,
so if my sword was in his shoulder and he lurched at me, wouldn't that have skewered him?
Yeah, I think that's what happens. I think you basically just like cut off his arm.
Oh, geez.
So it's like limp, like hanging from like tendons.
Well, that escalated really quickly from fun Guardians of the Galaxy to Game of Thrones real quick.
Yes.
Jeez. Yep. Sorry, bro.
Yep. Yeah, and so he's just on the ground like bleeding.
Okay. I'm looking at him like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose I probably know what's happening because I was suspicious of it in the first place because of the orb.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Probably just like, what?
I think what happens is there's just that moment of pause, right? And that's where it ends.
Nice. That's great. Well, that was
thanks
fun.
for playing. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, thanks.
I was missing not only Birdie Wheel but also Crow Inquisitors, so it was nice to just kind of go back to that world for a little bit and see Dellon almost get married and then have to fight people.
Yep, turn everything he does into a sword fight.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Well, at least you have magical powers now. Happy wedding day.
I'm so happy. Thank you. Good day for Dellon.
Yep.
He gets married and magical powers on the same day.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Adios.
See ya.
Bye.